Kowloon Walled City, the darkest and most crowded place on Earth. Imagine a place so densely packed that sunlight barely reaches the ground. A lawless city where crime, chaos, and survival shape daily life. This was Kowloon Walled City, once the most crowded and mysterious place on Earth, housing 35,000 people in just 6.4 acres. But how did it become such a dystopian wonder, and why was it demolished? Let's unravel its secrets. The rise of Kowloon Walled City. The story of Kowloon Walled City begins in the 1800s. Originally a Chinese military fort, it was built to protect against British encroachment after Hong Kong Island was ceded to Britain in 1842. But in 1898, Britain leased the new territories, everything except the walled city. As the Qing dynasty crumbled, the city was left in limbo. It became a no man's land, Chinese jurisdiction on British soil. By the 1940s, war and refugees transformed the walled city into a settlement of squatters, and the chaos began. A city without rules. By the 1950s, Kowloon Walled City was out of control. With no government enforcement, triad gangs took over. Illegal gambling dens, opium houses, and unlicensed clinics thrived. Buildings were stacked haphazardly, new floors built over old ones. The streets, narrow and dark, with fluorescent bulbs replacing sunlight. At its peak, over 33,000 people lived here, crammed together, making Kowloon the most densely populated place on the planet. Daily life and hidden humanity. Despite its reputation, life in the walled city wasn't all darkness. Communities formed. Residents created makeshift schools, temples, and rooftop playgrounds. Families looked out for each other, and small factories provided jobs. Businesses operated without permits, doctors, dentists, even food stalls. For some, it was a place to escape regulations and find opportunity. For others, it was simply home. The demolition and aftermath. By the 1980s, the walled city's sanitary conditions and crime rates were impossible to ignore. The British and Chinese governments finally agreed to tear it down. Residents were evicted, compensated, and the demolition began in 1993. Today, where Kowloon Walled City once stood is a peaceful park. Some artifacts, like the South Gate and the Yemen Building, were preserved as reminders of its storied past. The walled city, once a symbol of lawlessness and survival, now lives on in memory, movies, and books. A romanticized dystopia that continues to inspire stories worldwide. From its chaotic beginnings to its demolition, Kowloon Walled City remains a powerful example of human ingenuity in the face of adversity. A city with no rules, but endless stories. What do you think? Was it a place of opportunity or a nightmare? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into history, hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating stories.